I'd like to ask the Minister for Health and Social Care, what is the serious shortage protocol referred to in his answer to question 47 in September, and what the legislative basis for this protocol is?
Minister to reply.
Thank you, Mr. President. Leading very nicely on then from that last piece. Legislation came into force in the UK on the 1st of July, permitting the use of serious shortage protocols and clarifying how they will work in practice. The legislation there enables UK ministers, in the event of a medicine being in serious shortage, to issue protocols to allow community pharmacies to dispense against a specific protocol instead of a prescription without going back to the prescriber first. The protocols may give community pharmacies the ability to dispense less or give a different strength or pharmaceutical form, or provide an alternative generic product, or provide an alternative product. Following appropriate discussions with the patient, the protocols will be developed by senior clinicians. The Department of Health and Social Care on Ireland have agreed recently they will permit the application of a serious shortage protocol, but will not permit the community pharmacists to provide an alternative therapeutic product. The department is currently planning how that would be operationalised. There are some legislative changes required to enable the protocols to be applied here to the National Health Service Pharmaceutical Services Regulations 2005 and the National Health Service Charges for Drugs and Appliances Regulations 2004, and these will be brought forward if and when deemed necessary.
Supplementary.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'd like to thank the Minister for acknowledging that the UK changed their primary legislation this year. I think Scotland's actually comes into force on the 31st of October. It's a very recent change. It's quite concerning that we don't currently have the legislative provisions. When he responded to my question in September, the answer stated the Department may consider the implementation of a serious shortage protocol. It's quite concerning that we are now 2 weeks away from a potential no-deal Brexit. And we are 2 weeks away from potential disruption to our supply lines, and we don't have the legislative ability for the Department to do these things he is saying he needs to do. So if it turns out that we do need to bring one of these regulations forward quickly, it'll obviously have to come to the Honourable Court. Can you please advise when he intends on getting the law ready, seeing as he hasn't bothered doing it at any point over the last 3 years?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, firstly, I've only been Minister for just under 2 years, so I'm not sure I could put it forward in the last 3. But putting that to one side, I think the key point here is we are starting to convolute two issues. The reason the UK went down the route of the serious protocol on shortages was not just about Brexit. Brexit was maybe one of the factors considered, but it wasn't primarily about Brexit. It was because of what I referred to in the previous answer about various worldwide shortages of certain products. Now, at the moment, other products can be prescribed, but you have to go back to the prescriber. And that's the difference with these protocols. You don't have to go back to the original prescriber. So in the event of a no-deal Brexit, it's not quite as urgent as is suggested, because other alternatives can still be prescribed, but they need to be prescribed by that prescriber. So it's not a case of something runs out, someone is told, no, you can't have the medication. They most certainly can have alternatives, but it has to be done by the prescriber. But the reason we are looking at this isn't around Brexit. It is about something sensible to have in the longer term. And the Department has only recently agreed this, I think, in early September.
Final supplementary, Mr.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President. I appreciate what the Minister is saying, that it's not being considered as part of Brexit, but the answer in September was specifically about no-deal Brexit preparations. This was given as one of the things that may happen as a result of a no-deal Brexit, and this was part of the suite of things his department is proposing to deal with the potential no-deal Brexit situation. So given that we've known about this no-deal Brexit situation for quite some time, it does feel like this is a very last-minute change, and it does feel that really these regulations should already have come before this Honourable Court to make sure the Department was fully ready, locked and loaded, just in case they need to do something like this in the near future.
Mr. Ashford.
Thank you, Mr. President. I can understand where the Honourable Member is coming from to a certain extent, but again, I do have to emphasise, not having this in place does not mean that people can't access medication. They most certainly can. The original prescriber can prescribe something different. That's the whole point of the Brexit Impact Group, which I've been referring to throughout the various answers, and the fact that they will be looking on a daily basis about stock availability and what is there. If there is recommendations that a certain drug is not available for whatever reason, be it Brexit, be a worldwide shortage, the original prescriber can prescribe something else. So there is not that risk of someone going without, because if there is an alternative available, the original prescriber can do it. The serious shortage protocols enable you to move away from that original prescriber, but it is not as urgent as it's being made to sound.